Hello everybody, today I have a look at the wonderful knives by Roselli, which is a Finnish manufacturer of really good fixed blades. We will look at 3 outdoor knives and 1 for the kitchen. So, typical about these knives is that they are all made from carbon steel. So Mr. Roselli forges these blades. Really, it's really like a craft, really old-fashioned handwork actually, his knives. And he has 2 kinds of carbon steel. The normal classical one, based on on steel he gets from Krupp, and also he experimented with an extremely high carbon content version, which makes a very hard knife of roughly 63 Rockwell. I have one of them, so extremely hard to use knives, but of course a lot more difficult to sharpen. 63 Rockwell is, well, something like a very hard variant, you could say, of ZTP steel, and you know it can take a long time before you get that really sharp again. Even so, I think both are really charming. I will first have a look here at this one. It's called the Bearclaw, if I'm not mistaken. Well, it's the smallest one of the bunch. You notice already they all come with very tight sheaths, so your knife will never fall out. It's very nicely made. And also typical for Roselli is they are classical. They are reduced to the minimum, and they really get their beauty by working with them. You begin to appreciate that these simple designs are actually timeless and wonderful. That is what I think he does very well. So this one is is actually the one with that ultra high carbon steel. They are visibly darker in tint than the normal carbon steel ones. It's a very dark sheen to it. So this one is, I would say, a good wood carving knife, for example. I use it mainly for some smaller food tasks. Perhaps I shouldn't have bought this one because it's a bit underused for my specific usage, but I can appreciate how light it is, how sturdy it is. It's 3mm thick, by the way, the blade. I think all the Rosellis I've seen have this thickness of blade. You see here with the hot needle his name, Heimo Roselli. The name is etched into the handle. So a very handy little thing for smaller cutting tasks. Like I said, I use it a bit less actually, perhaps. I like for a fixed knife that the blade is a bit longer, but it definitely has its uses. So my favorite actually of the bunch is this one. This is the classic Scandinavian outdoor knife actually. So I get it out of the sleeve. It is, like I said, it is carbon steel, meaning if you get it wet you should dry it. You can count on it when you use it for food, especially, let's say, cutting lemons and so on. It will stain here, but that's okay. That's part of the charm. But especially make certain to keep it dry, and from time to time add some oil to it. Here the handle is of a lighter birch than the previous one, the color. So typically the ones with the ultra high carbon content have a darker handle. I must say that I prefer these actually. So very practical in the hand. That typical, I think they call it Bearclaw, this model, the typical Scandinavian outdoor knife that the people, let's say, in Lapland used for centuries when they went out. Something like 8.5 centimeter, while the small one was a bit more than 5. So 8.5, I would say 7.5 inches. Useful for almost everything. I use it for outdoor cooking, for example, and it's wonderful in the hand. So one thing you have to pay attention to, so your finger can slip on the blade if you are not careful. There is no hilt here, no finger guard. No, you have to watch out. But like usual, with Roselli, light, strong, and you feel after a while you begin to respect how simple, how elegant it is. He calls it a Carpenter knife, but it is truly a totally universal knife. Then the third one is really fun when you see it. It's a kind of knife that gives a smile actually. So again, wonderful sheath, you see, it will never fall out. Well, this one is called the grandfather knife. So, really a beast of a knife with a big fat handle. You can grab it well. It's good for many kinds of outdoor uses. Yeah, they are not full tang and not like really a full tang knife. So it's the blade sticks here quite deep in the handle. So it's not meant to be used as an axe, for example. But this is a very, very serious outdoor knife, for also for garden use and so on, and for a lot of uses. It's actually a shorter version from their big hunter, which I don't have. Well, it looks a bit like a Viking knife. I think you could use it in a reenactment, or if you would make a medieval movie or something. I think it's very charming, this grandfather knife. It's practical and it's strong. So we'll already put these three side by side. These are my three outdoor knives from Roselli. I think they're fantastic. I really, personally, well, I have also Brusletto. I have a few Martinis, which are all, yes, good Scandinavian knives, but I have a personal preference for Roselli. Carbon steel, classic, but timeless. Totally timeless. By the way, notice here the grandfather knife, you will not slip your finger on the blade. In that sense it's a bit safer than this one. But indeed the blade lengths are more or less the same, while the Carpenter is a bit longer. For general use this one is more useful than this beefy one, but I think both have their charm. So then the one that I have that is designed for cookery, this is called the Little Cook. It comes with this very nice wooden bases to rest the knife on when not in use. Well, it's true these days carbon steel is not exactly used often in kitchens, but again, like I said, if you keep it dry and you oil the edge a bit, you shouldn't worry about getting rust. And yes, it will discolor a bit, but that's okay. So yeah, you see mine has a few stains already from use, but I think that's quite okay. And also this is really quite primitive, quite basic, and that's why it's so charming. It's not designed for the heaviest chopping. It's really a vegetable knife, I would. For the heaviest chopping you really need something totally full tang, meaning out of one piece of metal. So it's not a Chinese cleaver. No, it's a really good general vegetable knife. If you want to chop your onions or so, it works pretty well with that. This being said, my other favorite vegetable knife, this is this global model. It's called the GS5, so which is a bit more rounded than the Roselli, which allows for somewhat easier cutting. But okay, it depends a bit on the kind of vegetables I use. But you have to admit, so the Roselli is a 3mm thick, as all Rosellis are, and the global is 2mm thick. Now I have to say that indeed that 1mm makes a difference. For cooking, thinner is better. It's also, the global is definitely lighter in the hand and very nicely balanced, while the Roselli is a bit front heavy, as you can imagine, with all that steel here. So you really have to hold it back. So that's I have to say the global is more comfortable and is a better slicer. Still, this is also very charming, and well, for people who like knives, it's a kind of a kitchen knife that gives a smile to us. So this was, I think, I hope for you, an interesting introduction to the world of Roselli Scandinavian knives. Highly recommended, truly products with a soul. That's the thing. When you handle this, you don't have the feeling that you are handling industrial made products. Now these are really the work of a supreme craftsman, who actually also gives courses on how to forge steel and things like that. He has also other kitchen knives, also made from that ultra carbon steel as used in this one. They're called the Astrid series, and they are said to be excellent as well, but I've not yet tried them. So of these, which one is my preferred one? Well, of course, yeah, kitchen knife is a bit different, but I think you noticed already, it's here the Carpenter knife, which is one of the best general use fixed knives I can think of. Very light, practical, largely strong enough as well. So I hope you thought that this was an interesting summary, and as usual feel free to leave bluntly honest feedback.